any third parties. That engagement process is a literal engagement process of a third party by instituting some kind of social or cultural activity. And that's all it is. It has nothing to do with the actual spirit of the two coming together as one flesh.
Yeah, yeah. I view it. I mean, without even going that deep, I just view it as ultra transactional. I don't like the transactional. If you don't do this for me, I won't do that for you type of shit. That's when I say, oh, don't worry about it. You don't have to do anything. The door is there.
Yeah, see, that's what I
I'm not
did with
interested in negotiating with fucking terrorists. You know what I mean?
that's what I did in Nebraska with my girlfriend out there. She demanded that I put out 3 months worth of salary that I was making at that time, and I was making well over 100,000. So she wanted at least like $40,000, $40,000 to put forth for that engagement and wedding ring.
You see,
That's
the women.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. And, that's it sounds very overt. The women who are very good with game and don't necessarily use it in a good way, same you could say about men in a different way, but the women who have really good game, they're very covert in those terms. They would never say that right to your face, right? They will try to use inception, right? And men do this too. I mean, people do this, but I'm just saying, for instance. So, in a way, I respect this psychopath who was just up here, acting like that, right? Because at least her motives. She just it's more about the marriage, or that term, what she's describing, than it is about the dude. If she actually respected the man, right? If she loved him, respected him, whatever, I don't think there would be any time limit. There just wouldn't. It wouldn't be about the papers, the marriage. It would be about, I'm grateful to be with him, and maybe him to her, maybe whatever. And what up, IFI?
I find you're cracking me up with that.
Someone please call the police. I don't
And
want your cake. Call the
and
police.
I love the cat. I mean, the plant in the cage is is there a dog in the cage with it? With her?
That's a woman. That's not a dog, Cynthia. They have
No,
feelings
behind.
too.
I thought I see something looks like a dog, but you're hilarious.
I know you
And
think all women are dogs and they belong in cages, but they have feelings too.
and what up, IFI? Or not
No,
IFI.
Leroy.
Leroy. Well, I was
Don't
looking
mix
at
those two
the
up.
chat when I said that.
You're about to make it weird.
And crispy treat. What up, Leroy?
What's happening? How you doing?
Very good. How are you?
Yeah, not so bad, man. Living the fucking dream.
Cool.
Chicks like that, when I see that kind of behavior, those kind of comments, they're the type that wanna get married, but they don't want to be a wife. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. They want
they
their
want the
cake and to eat it
status.
too.
The status
what I
of being
think.
a wife, but
The status, and aside from that, I would think money, prizes, whatever is seen as value under that government contract, more than because let's say the dude had been like, oh yeah, no, I do want to get married, but by the way, we're not going to do it through the government. I think you would get the same reaction. You saw the video we just had on Leroy and IFI, right?
yeah, I just saw the tail end of it there. I think that mad
Okay.
bitch.
Yeah, well, you might as well see the beginning then too. It was only 30 seconds.
You assholes, if you have been with someone longer than a year and you are not engaged and you want to be engaged, leave! Do you not understand? Leave! Okay? Because if they wanted to, they would. I am telling you right fucking now, if they wanted to, they would. I pressured the first motherfucker. I should have never done it, okay? Leave. Okay, I'm telling you, nothing good is gonna happen.
Another point I wanted to point out is, and I think this is true for men and women, I don't think there's a discrepancy, that the idea of, demanding, right? Demanding, not commanding, but to try to change what somebody wants is insane in all terms.
And you know what? She got something right. If they wanted to, they would. And clearly they didn't want to. There may have been a reason for that. especially with her.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. It's pretty obvious. Just fucking looking at her. She's got
Yeah.
issues, man.
Don't put me over here by Cynthia.
Yeah, no, that's exactly why.
Cynthia,
Yes.
call the police. Don't give me cake. Get me out of here.
Yeah, I look at it, if you have to demand really anything, I mean, maybe there's some regard, and with time could be more, right? Say a year in is different than first day or week or month, right? Obviously. But somebody demanding things right off the rip, to me, that's a good thing because it's a sign for you to get the fuck out.
And I think it's okay for somebody to be like, hey, here's what I would like. Here's what I envision. Here's what I see for the future. But to your point, when it comes to demanding, then we're not going anywhere. Like, that's just stupid at that point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, world full of stupid people.
I
And
also think,
I've been plenty stupid, to be clear.
I also think social media makes women want to do that if they can see somebody on a timeline after timeline of engagement, this, love. They're like, I want it too. It's for me too. And that's actually going into it for all the wrong reasons.
Right. Well, what do you think the right reasons are? Right. I had pulled up earlier. I don't know who here saw it, but there was a Andrew Wilson, Rachel Wilson, his wife, little Twitter thing, talking about something they talk about very commonly, as far as I know, which is America. If you're an American, have more babies, right? Just have more babies, period. And somebody brought up a point, which was, you know, with how many different dads, right? It's a question. But with that said, I don't see us as just needing more babies or the demanding people have more babies would even work. But if it did work, would we not just get more of the same? Right? Because the idea is, I mean, just to give the premise, is that the U.S. birth rate is going down, the population is going to decline. And I don't know about the whole rest of the world. I'm just talking about the U.S. Any
I mean,
thoughts
I'd rather
on
have
that?
10 quality people than 100 dirtbags around, right? So
Agreed.
if we don't have the time, energy, effort, money, insert whatever to raise what I'm going to call quality children into quality adults, then don't bother to have them in the first place. That's kind of my 2 cents on it.
I would
Well,
still say there's a chance for people to come out quality adults. I know people that are raised by absolute scumbags that came out to be really fucking good people. I was actually talking about one of them yesterday. I won't mention his fucking name, just in the off chance that he ever sees this. But he comes from a family of fucking scum, and he completely separated himself from them as soon as he could get a fucking job, moved out, has a wife and fucking kids and all that. And he's a fucking great person, like a real fucking gentleman. But I think, like, saying that we shouldn't just have more people because there's a chance that they'll become scumbags, it does make sense. But is it not very short-sighted because we're going to have an issue then with having an aging public? So it does make sense that we won't have as many scumbags, but we won't have as many people, even fucking possibly good ones, then to look after the elderly generation that are going to be ourselves in time to come. So I understand what you're saying, but I think that
Fair
it could
perspective.
potentially be very short-sighted.
You
Yeah, that's
trailed
fair.
off at the end, Leroy.
So I think it could be very short-sighted just because we will have that aging population. So if they're saying that 45% of women in 10, 15 years are going to be childless, and it used to be 90%,
Yeah.
the knock-on effects to the wider public are going to be fucking massive. It would be hard to weigh it up to see what would be a worse thing to deal with, having an aging population or just more scumbags about. But again, it's not certified that they will be scumbags because, again, good people can come from bad situations. So for me personally, I would say the best thing to do is to have more children right now, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, and that's a fair
Well,
point
go
on
on.
people can like beat the system, if you will, and like they could have had the deck stacked against them and come out good. That's fair because it does happen, but I would say that's the exception, not the general thing that happens.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But it's exceptional people that do things that are exceptional. You know
That's
what I
fair.
mean?
Yep. That's fair.
And it's more of those people I think that we do need.
Well, here's the term I'm going to put in. What I've noticed is, right, and everyone has their own standards. We talked a bit about standards last few days, right? They can be pretty subjective, but I think objectively we all know certain things are good for us, certain things are bad. And then there's a bunch of gray area in between. With that said, and I always have to preface, not on this panel, not in this chat. I don't give a fuck about YouTube. I'm saying generally, I don't think that most people give a fuck about their kids. I've been all over the U.S., out in public. It just seems to me, based on things I can see, like their kids really overweight, kids on iPad, kids acting out like crazy, hitting other people, right? Crazy shit. It just seems to me most people don't care very much about their kids that they do have. So my point is, the idea of getting more of that doesn't seem like a good thing to me. I think we should be working on the quality of the U.S. before thinking like, oh, hey, by the way, everyone, we need more kids.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, but you just said it all, so fuck you.
And what up, Crispy?
I care about kids.
I know you do.
You can have you can have mine.
Oh, I'll take them.
So what Base just said was what I was getting ready to say, you bastard. Anyways, I was gonna say I'm more in the camp of an ounce of prevention more than a pound of cure. So I think we should fix culture and society before we start pumping out babies. But you know, even if it's like the good guys having babies, you can still have like little shitheads that just adapt to the current standards and current morality and stuff like that. So even if you're a good parent, your kid's more than likely going to be influenced by his peers and his friends and his culture and all that stuff. So that's what we got to fix first.
Yeah, I think making a better standard, setting a higher standard. We've been lowering standards. When I say we, I mean different forms of government, the education system, the military, right? Through different means, right? I'm not blaming this on women, of course, but I'm just saying women entering the infantry, that was sort of a marker of like, oh, we really don't give a fuck about standards. And not because women who were strong enough or good enough, whatever the case, to do that did it. No, but because they didn't do it. And then the government, military said, oh, well, we need to be fair. We need equality. So we're going to lower the standards. And that's exactly what the fuck they did. Right. So again, this has nothing to do with women. I'm just talking about in general, our standards have been lowering. And a lot of times I think it's a gaslight among the public, right? Like, this will be good for the illegals. This will be good for women and children. And meanwhile, a lot of this shit is not, right? It's not what we're sold, right? We're sold this happy picture, and who pays for it? We do.
So do you think that they need to get rid of affirmative action?
Well, you know, here's the thing. I don't believe in getting rid of, really pragmatically, any nuanced law. I think we need a complete fucking revamp at this point. I think that we're FUBAR, right? I don't think, for instance, that you know, undoing some of the laws that exist will end in anything less than civil unrest and chaos. However, we're making new laws by the day. Right? How many new laws are still coming out? Fuck the old ones. They're making new ones that are going to fuck us up.
I mean, the way we're trending, pretty soon, if you just say the wrong thing, you're going to be getting locked up. So, yeah, I think we're definitely heading to an interesting place in history.
Well, I had an article pulled up. I don't know where it is now, but 9-year-old gets arrested. It was police at his door in a news article for saying mean things on the internet. Granted, I don't know what the mean things were, but you know, 9-year-old, right?
Oh wow, that's
and
crazy.
And the second part of that problem isn't just 9-year-old getting arrested, but that is showing you the state and authority having more power than the parents. And granted, if he was really doing some fuck shit, what was going on with the parenting?
Yeah, that's what's going on in the UK. Mel says that's what people are being arrested now for saying things or speaking on the internet.
Yeah.
I'm shocked how censored they are. I really didn't realize that until now. Until I started working with Mel, how censored they are over there in the UK.
Or
In the
putting
UK,
out.
they are emptying
Yeah.
prisons to make way for political prisoners.
Yeah.
Yep, because they're
Wild.
saying, false supposedly misinformation that sometimes after the fact is actually revealed to be the truth, but they can't go back and give them back their time or whatever business they lost or anything like that.
Yeah, the UK's fucked at the minute. It's pretty dark to see.
Yeah, imagine getting 2 years for posting a spicy meme.
Yeah, like I just didn't. It's hard to believe. It's are we? And you're sure? I keep thinking like that can't even be right. Like but that people are arrested for saying things on the internet.
It's called dystopia.
Yeah.
Let's pour one out for Count Dankula.
I used to do missionary work where I would email people in like Saudi Arabia, and we would talk. They would ask questions about God, and I would answer it. But I had to be careful in the way I answered, or else my message wouldn't get to them. Like we had to kind of speak in a different type of language.
What do you mean?
Like I couldn't be like, the Lord loves you. I'd be like, the one that you serve does have love for you. So I couldn't use the word God or love or always reference a scripture because their internet was being watched. And it wasn't more so for me. It was more so for they were being watched.
Fuck.
Yeah, there's places out there where
yeah, that's crazy.
Big Brother checks your emails even.
Mm-hmm. Like even the kids, when they go on missionary trips and they meet kids from China, we have to like teach them how to speak to children in China. You can't talk about the things that we talk over here with them because they're more strict and monitored. Well, over there, they have a different type of internet system from what I'm understanding. Like they're really watched.
I've got to take off, guys. Be blessed. I'll be back.
Wizard.
So hang around.
See you,
man.
Bye, Wizard.
So, I like to look at the macro and the micro and, right, because they relate. I think one of the big problems for people generally is they can't see the dots. They can't see the connections between the micro and the macro. And therefore, right, there's this kind of blurriness where they just don't get how you get from one to the other. With that said, I had this pulled up earlier here. Hold on. Right. Wife kills husband because he stopped eating her vajayjay, her box every night. Right. And I mean,
this is your subject for whatever reason. You want the world to know you are anti-box.
No. Look, I said it.
I mean, you're not anti-box. You're anti-lips on box. Like, you want the world to know. And I want you to know, I talked to all of my homies in real life about that, and not one of them agreed with you. One of them gave me different reasons they liked it.
I will explain it to you. I will explain it. I will connect the dots.
Explain it to Dutch.
No, you haven't. Okay, then you tell everyone. Then you explain
the reason I don't like the box is that, one time I had a box and, it was rotten. It tasted like there was feet in there or something, and it just really scarred me. And now I just don't like it no more. And it's not. And if I meet a woman that tells me they're not going to do me because I don't do them, it's transactional, and I don't want them in my life. And I say, fuck off, y'all.
That's kind of true. I mean, there's some truth to that. But again, getting to the micro, here is my point, right? Because you didn't hear this yet, because you didn't say this in any of it.
Okay.
It's sort of an ego test, right? I don't really talk about this, but I said it once. It came up in some conversation, and ever since then, how come you don't? Anyways, it's sort of a litmus test for ego. And I noticed
you said the devil. It's the devil doing it, or something like that. One time, didn't you?
Yeah.
I said, did he just really say that?
Here is my point. It's an ego test, right? Okay. If that's a transactional concern of a woman with me, then you're already fucked up. Like, this is already fucked up. I'm not interested. That type of thing. Mm-hmm. Because why should you be so concerned? I don't walk around saying, oh, women that don't give head are fucked up. Now, although I do think that, but nonetheless, I don't say that, right? I would never say that. But I think that women in general, their egos are so big today. I know all the women like, not me. But their ego's so big that it's like, well, if I'm going to do this, then you should do it too. Well, how about this? I may, right, if I really care about a woman and I'm with her long term, I may end up doing what I would do, which is put my life on the line one day. There's no equivocation for that. No, there's no equivocation for that. So if I don't
getting
do
oral
that,
antidote,
or
maybe, that might be putting your life on the line.
Exactly.
yeah, some bad boxing.
You cracked me up with that life on the line. Women put their life on the line. You asked me to bring you lunch, and I'm in a horrible car wreck bringing you lunch. I put my life on the line to bring you lunch.
Okay, so here's another
I'd rather
point.
eat box. Go
So
ahead.
to Lauren's comment, I just view that as more intimate. I agree, right? It's more intimate. So here's kind of my point. If a woman, I'm just going to use an example here, has been with like 50 dudes, right? I mean, to me, that's a pretty big number. If you were more of a hoe than I was a homemaker, like we're definitely no. So anyways, I look at that like, why would I want to give that to you? Like it seemed wrong. I feel like a piece of shit, right?
Yeah.
Now you could argue the same about women. You could say, well, if she does it and she's been with, and he's been with a bunch of women, but we all know that's not the same.
I remember. Oh God.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to let you all talk now. You tell me what you think.
Awful that you said that. But I remember that like they're in high school. I remember girls being like they would do everything but they would but have sex, and I would always think that it was more, that seems way more intimate than having sex, but the doing everything else except having sex, that was I don't know why people did that. I never understood that part of it. But yeah, I thought you were just joking based. I didn't know that this was a serious thing.
Well, maybe I'm joking, maybe I'm not, but the point the point is still the same. The transactional nature of shit, whether it's that or the video we had up where she's like, oh, if he doesn't propose in a year, that transactional shit I'm not interested in. And when I say I'm not interested in, what I mean is, do you think that any of that leads to anything good? Right? You were just talking about, Cynthia, how, for instance, that, how are you going to have, what is that showing about the relationship if need a contract within a year or whatever the case? I agree with you. But even on a sexual contract basis, I think it's like, the fuck?
You've had this conversation several times. I've heard it repeated. You're always the one to bring it up. And the one thing that always amazes me is everybody gives you every pushback, but I've never heard this one. If I were to meet a man and he would be like, hey, I'm never gonna do that for you, and I'm like, okay, well, how are you gonna make up for it? Because if you're taking out a core piece of intimacy, I expect you baby, you better be doing tricks that I ain't never felt before, because you now have got to fill that void that I'm gonna feel. And so if you're not doing that, do you have an extra special trick or ending or mid-show, halftime show that's going to make up for the lack of, and it's intimacy, it's you're pleasing me, I've expressed to you I enjoy this, so I'm just curious, what's your game plan?
Yeah, I mean, all encompassing. That type of mentality is the same mentality that, let's say, the guy's 5-10 years in and they're like, I haven't had sex with my wife in over a year, or like this type of shit. That's the same mentality. If it was transactional from the beginning, it's going to stay transactional. And my point is, fuck that shit, right? You're proposing a transaction here. You're saying, well, how are you going to make up for that? To me, if that is your mentality, that's so important in terms of a man, then find a new man.
Well, it's important in terms of intimacy. And if somebody wants to be with me, I would be like, well, if I'm expressing to you this is lacking something and you don't want to do it, then I agree, leave. But you're also treating it as transactional when you're the one coming in stating that. So I feel like you saying that, or I'm not saying you, but a person saying that is a code because you're treating it like a transaction. So when I come back with my negotiation, oh no, this is a transaction, I'm gone. I'm like, all right, bro.
You wouldn't be saying that, let's say, in a similar context where, let's say, you got a headache, you don't feel well. And I'm like, oh, but like if I was coming with that same mentality as you, oh, but remember I ate your box last week, some bullshit, right? I mean, look, it doesn't work. I know what you're saying, but it's
Well,
flawed logic,
I can't
right?
speak for
You're talking,
everybody,
yeah,
but
I know
I
you're
know
speaking for you.
when a man is in the mood, sometimes your job is to please. And a headache, you just got to work through it. You just like a football player got to work through an injury. You just got to work through it sometimes because making a man feel demasculated, and whether that's the correct word, the correct usage of that, but that's a very, very sensitive, intimate transaction. So you do have to treat that well.
And look, I think that people should do whatever they want to do. Now, here's the thing. In a relationship, whatever the case, I'm not bringing this shit up. I'm not talking about it. My point is that I think you missed is that if she brings it up and I say, nah, I don't do that, that's a good thing for me because that's a sign that you're a fucking hoe.
But wouldn't she bring it up if it's been 20 times and it's never happened? So
no. Well, I said if we're just starting a relationship and this comes up, right? Then I'm looking at it in terms of we just met each other. If anyone should be more sexual, it should be me. And now you're bringing this up like I demanded. Like,
so when
luck.
would be appropriate time to bring it up? A year? How?
I don't.
I know. I'm like, when do we negotiate this? When do we start negotiating?
Never. Yes. Thank you, Kristen.
Wow. Oh,
look,
wow.
let's hear from iFi and Primal before I go down rabbit holes. Any thoughts?
I mean, that's a pretty open bag on thoughts on what. I feel like we got 18 different directions here. Are we just talking about the box thing, or
anything that interests you out of it? I mean, I'm not asking you to get too personal, but whatever your thoughts are, do you think that was transactional? Are you against, whatever?
I think generally in a sexual relationship, it just should be it should just happen. It shouldn't feel transactional. If it feels transactional, then something's not going right. If it's, oh, well, I did this yesterday, so you do this today, that doesn't feel right to me. It should just kind of naturally happen. Like if somebody wants to do something, they're going to do it. And if they don't, they're not gonna. And if you're kind of like wanting to try something, that's maybe something you can bring up. You'd be like, hey, I was kind of thinking about this. Would you be open to trying this? And then the person either says yes or no. And I feel like that's kind of the natural evolution of it.
And don't forget your safety word.
Yeah, pineapple. Pineapple. Yeah.
Pineapple.
Now, with that said, I just, it depends, but I really don't do it. I mean, I have done it, but I quit. I quit the box. With that said, I'm more apt to be inclined to maybe if the dick count is lower. And to be clear, I don't ask. I wouldn't ask somebody. I wouldn't say, oh, what's your body count? I think that's super weird. Plus, she's going to lie to me, so it's fucking pointless. No, I would not allow that. If you think that she could overpower me, good luck with that, too. With that said, the higher the number, definitely the less likely. But here's the thing. It goes hand in hand with the less likely it will be a relationship. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Like if I'm dealing with somebody, and I think this is just as a man, but I know all men are different, just like all women are different. But if I'm dealing with somebody, and over time I'm seeing, like, man, you presented yourself as this good girl type of shit, and it turns out you were more of a hoe than me. I'm definitely not interested. I'm out. And I'm definitely not eating box.
wouldn't it be if
I was
you
gonna
bought
say,
me
and then,
dinner? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, and then what's next? Like, hey, you didn't take out the trash, so
Right.
now you
Yeah.
don't get a BJ.
Yeah.
So like,
Right.
where
I
does
bought
if you
dinner
start
last week.
if you start down that road, where does that road lead to?
Agreed.
Then you're like holding sex over each other as a bargaining chip, and that's a terrible fucking place to be.
Right.
Like,
That's when
And
you lock her in
it's
a
also
cage.
transactional. If it's like, hey, I paid for dinner last week, or I made dinner last week, or I made dinner, are you gonna do the dishes? So by this metrics of yours, do you
Yeah, I
apply
think
that
that's
to
whack too.
everything? Or
I think that's
just,
whack too. No, Cynthia, I think that all of that shit is whack.
I'm asking. That's why I'm asking. Do you apply the same metrics, like anything transactional, gone, go?
Well, let's talk about it. You were talking, I know this was different, but you were talking about literal pimping earlier, right? People that you
Right.
knew, whatever the case. That's
Right.
as transactional as it gets.
Absolutely.
In
Absolutely.
terms of, just to say, in terms of sex, sex is sex.
Mhm.
But in terms of relationship, if the love/respect isn't there, right, as a binary, then it is transactional. There's nothing left, right? So my point is, the further from transactional and the closer to respect and love, to me, that is a relationship versus a facade of a relationship or a purely transactional arrangement. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
I mean,
I
which
think what
tastes
you're not
better? The sandwich somebody just made for you because they wanted to make it, or because you demanded somebody make a sandwich for you? I say the sandwich they wanted to make for you. Actually, it probably all tastes the same, but it feels better.
Yeah, my box tastes better probably.
I think what you're not understanding, Base, is people have different standards. So it's okay to lock women in cages so long as he's eating box.
It was just, hey, that was, everybody knew it. I mean,
What if that's
That's
the
the sad
only way
thing.
out of the cage, Based, is you have to eat through the box to get
Yeah,
out of the
I
cage?
mean, I guess I gotta do what I
It's
gotta
a
do
I
then.
can tell
it's a
y'all no
metaphor,
type of
Base.
sport.
You're not getting it. It's a metaphor. It's a rite of passage. You have to get out of the cage by eating the box. So that's what it's there for.
Wow.
Also, I noticed that we just glossed over the fact that she caters parties to pimps.
No, I
and
did not
walks-
gloss over that.
And
I did
walks
not.
into a room where women are locked in cages.
I wasn't in the room. It was just known. I was at the club. I never went to his house,
It
but
was known. Yeah.
And serves cake and then leaves and doesn't mind that the women are still locked in cages. So
Oh, I missed something.
Cynthia, I was
So-
waiting for the plot twist where you told me.
so okay. So if there's a man that has convinced 19 women, I'm just saying that number. I know it was a huge number.
Andrew
They
Tate.
all walked in dressed alike. Convinced them to sleep in cages. Do you think I'm about to walk up there and switch up the whole entire game?
Yeah.
I know.
You
Even
the
I
homie.
know I don't have that much game.
You the
And
homie.
at the end of the day, I can't judge the way another person lives, whether it's probably not my standards. It's not what I want for me, my family, and my loved ones. But who am I to cast judgment on the way others live?
How do you know he convinced them to sleep in cages? This is I don't understand.
Well,
that
he was a gorilla pimp.
What the hell did I miss?
You missed some
so
shit.
Crispy, if you look over at my picture,
Where's Joe Cool? Joe Cool was a pimp, and he could tell you all about this.
Hey, Joe Cool is simping on another panel right now,
yeah,
I'm
Joe
assuming.
Cool's not on
All right.
panel, so
That was a shot
Oh.
taken, a little bit.
How
With
dare
that,
him.
with that, I do want to get back to the
Okay,
look. The
let's
reason I brought this up is to say that we're talking about relationships, we're talking about marriage, we're talking about the U.S. population in terms of having kids. Also, has come up plenty of times about the dating shit, this type of thing. And I'm just saying, maybe as some food for thought, that whether it's eating box or whatever the fuck, the transactional nature for men, if you end up in that position, right? I've been in that position, and you're really going down a bad rabbit hole, right? You're going to waste a bunch of time, all sorts of variables, things happen, whatever. But my point is, for the women, I think generally, and I think this is proven, what I believe, that generally women like the idea in terms of being able to negotiate and barter initially. right? As per the, well, why don't you do it? Well, I won't do this, or what if I do that? That type of shit. My point is that inevitably women end up hating it as well. But at first, it seems like a good thing. It seems like, oh, I do have power. I can power to negotiate. But my point is that you're not actually going to be happy with the man that you're negotiating with. You're going to be happy in the long term with the man that you respect, that you don't want to negotiate with. So if you're with a man that you feel the need, let's say in the beginning, right? I'm not talking about getting into marriage and you're already married. I'm saying in the beginning in particular, if you're with a man that you don't respect to the degree, or at least less than what you consider to be, well, I like to be pleasured in this way, whatever the fuck, then I would say you're wasting your time. Did that sound fair?
Oh, I was muted. I mean, I'm not. I don't know. Like, I would never say anything. I never in a million years say anything.
Good girl, Crispy.
Yeah, I'd be too embarrassed to say something. But
Even if I was locked in a cage, you wouldn't say anything?
I don't know about the cage thing. Like, I don't know what I missed, but it sounds like I would need to call
Let
the
me
police.
recap it for you, Crispy.
Wow.
Let's pretend you're in the catering business and you cater for parties, and you're hired to do a party at a strip club.
Oh, wow.
And you walk in and you see 19 women locked in dog cages.
They're
and
not
you
in a
just-
cage. That's right, sissy. Handle
See,
it.
even the
Speaking
dogs
of.
are upset. Even
Right
dogs
on
got
cue.
standards. And so when you walk in and see 19 women locked in a cage, do you A, serve cake and leave, or B, call the police? What would
Call
you do,
the
Crispy?
police.
Okay, so that wasn't the situation, but that was
Not
a
exactly.
very nice fictitious story I told.
Oh, is it Oh, okay. It didn't really happen.
No, it didn't really happen like that. He's somehow twisted up.
Go
the
back and
story.
play the video, Crispy. And
Oh,
then
I
got it
worked
twisted.
at parties. I worked parties at clubs. At the club I worked at, and
Mhm.
I would do divorce parties, whatever. And
Mhm.
there was a pimp that had a
Divorce
party.
parties.
And everybody, like when he pulled up in a big old truck. He had all the women, they all dressed alike. I swear the pimp music was playing in my head.
Right.
He would have a party. I dealt with them when it came time to book the party. I collected the money. I made sure the party looked just the way they wanted it to look. And that was it. But it was a well-known fact around town that that's his style of pimping.
And you had a friend, was this the same friend that was stealing dogs out of people's
this is
homes
not
with
the
a
same
with
friend.
a
No.
helicopter? With a helicopter.
No, this is not the same friend. And
What?
again, I brought up Crispy, when you work at the adult entertainment clubs, a lot of pimping a lot of the women work for pimps that are actually on stage dancing. Not all of them, but a majority of them do have a pimp.
Yeah. I mean, I remember. I remember the pimp parties that Snoop used to do, and he would always
Pimp
he
up,
always had
hold
those
down.
women on a leash.
Mm-hmm,
When he walked
mm-hmm.
in, that kind of
Mhm.
shit. Yeah, that's wild. I don't know what kind of. I guess that no convince. Nobody'd ever put me on a freaking leash. I can tell you that much. But
Word.
Not yet.
not ever. But yeah, like I remember seeing those parties or whatever, like on HBO. When
Yeah, they really have them. It's really like they have the award show on who's
That's
the
the word
best
I'm
hoe
talking
of
about,
the
it's
year.
award
Like it's
show.
a real lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it might be one that y'all don't understand because you haven't grown up in it or been around it. It's one I didn't understand, but when you work in the sexually orientated business, you're introduced to a lot of different things you were never introduced to before.
Cynthia, that just is wild to me, because just knowing you the way I know you, and then you being involved in that type of lifestyle. I know you personally are not involved in that, but I mean, I just
And I was the
imagine
exact same way.
Yeah.
I was the exact same way at the club. Everybody I was always taking my notes in my notebook, but I was really writing in my journal, but they thought it was about them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't even imagine you even being around any of that.
That was
that
Cynthia,
the
didn't you
stuff.
best.
say
That
you
was
used
that
to
was the
work?
best education I ever
I
received.
bet. I bet it
Cynthia, didn't you
was.
say you used to work at nightclubs, like a
Yeah, it
bouncer
was
or
the
something?
adult entertainment club. It was an all nude club, and then I moved to an urban club, an all
Oh,
Oh
black
wow.
club.
Yeah. I could
so
never work in a place like that. Like I just I could never. I would just
Mhm.
be freaked out the whole time. So,
before I
yeah.
bounce, Cynthia, just give me one ray of hope here. So you mentioned that you were convinced that they were there willingly. They were voluntarily sleeping in the cages, correct? They weren't being held against their will.
Listen, if you're in a big club with 7 doors and you don't leave and you stay with your crew, who am I to pull you out? Like,
No, I don't think you understand my question. Like
yeah.
earlier, I asked you, how did you know that the pimp
Oh,
convinced them to willingly stay in the cages, as opposed to actually being forced into the cages against their will? How do you know that?
well, I'm gonna assume it was they willingly wanted to. I
Thank you.
don't know how they forced it to. I did reference him as a gorilla pimp. I did put down the definition of a gorilla pimp earlier. Um,
Mhm.
There you go,
but
Chris.
there were the
Chris
ex girls of his worked at the club, so you would hear stories.
Oh, so you already knew that that was like
Yeah, yeah. I
something.
mean, it's a known thing. Like bartenders and everybody knew who he was and what he did.
Like, because I mean, I don't, I can't imagine anybody just would want to stay in a cage, willingly, and why they were in a cage.
But it's not like he's like, "Hey, crispy treat, come over to my house," and then, oh, bam, I'm putting you in a cage. Like they prime you, they groom you, they break down your mindset. They break you down to your nothing, and you just think the only way I can, like, let me just sleep in this cage, and it's all a game. Like pimps have to break you down so they
So,
can build you back up to the way they want you, and that's
Christy,
part of the breakdown.
I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. It is feasible to believe that there's like some sort of like role playing dominatrix type club where the women are just pretending to be, stuck in cages or whatever, but they're willingly doing it as part of the show. But as opposed to a pimp who's like trafficking women and
Trafficking.
keeping them in cages is a whole different scenario, which
Yeah,
I was trying to
yeah,
figure out which one we're talking about here. So,
yeah.
anyways, that's all I was asking, but I still didn't
Mhm.
really hear a clear answer. So I'm just gonna leave
I'm
it on it
really
because
like
I'm concerned.
I don't know I can't speak for what happened in another man's house.
Yeah.
Again, when you walk by women in cages, you might be able to like, just whisper to them, "Are
But
you
I
okay?
wasn't
Do you need
walking
help?"
by women in cages.
How did you see them? How did you know they were
That's
in cages?
I keep telling you, it was the stories. Everybody knew what was happening. Ex-woman came and told about it.
Oh, earlier it sounded like you were in the room with the women in cages, and
I
that's what I
keep
was a little
telling you,
confused.
no, I was at the party. Like I hosted the party. I even told you I got the party set up. I negotiated the party. Like, oh my gosh, I'm fine. All right.
Oh,
Well,
okay,
thank
okay,
you.
word of math.
Bye.
I got you.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah,
Now Trump's gonna play
I'll
the.
have to rewatch because I didn't.
How does the press get this information that's classified? How do they do it? You know why? Because it's an illegal process. You are old enough to have seen a time that was much different.
Hilarious.
You never saw heads chopped.
That is so funny. He does do that with his hands.
So, question for y'all though. I know this comes up a bit. I've heard it many times, but do you think there's any? Oh, what the hell happened?
Oh, hey, the spotlight.
Oh,
Yeah, you got the spotlight.
yeah, something happened.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, do you think there's any correlation here? Right, weak men more likely to be socialist. Study claims.
110%.
Yeah,
What
I
does it
agree.
mean, socialist?
Communitarian. I mean, I know this isn't exactly, but communitarian, communist, social. Right? Don't they all sort of lend toward the idea of, being cogs in the wheel?
Like
Feminists, left
everybody,
wing,
no, like
Democrats.
everybody shares the money. Everybody shares their. Uh, yeah, everybody puts
Yeah.
in a pot and shares the money is what I always
Yeah.
think.
The idea that nobody wins but nobody loses either is appealing to people that aren't top notch because they've never been winners, right?
Which is most people, right? If most people can't be top notch, in whatever respectively we're speaking of, the economy, money, whatever, and therefore most people would fall in that box that you're saying now, right?
Or at least a lot, yeah. Like whatever, let's say the bottom 80%, if you will, like.
It's pretty obvious to guess that the people who are never going to get a trophy in life want us to have trophies for everyone. So
I just was going to say that about the trophies. I was going to say that. You stole it.
That's okay. Bay stole my words earlier, so we're just
all right.
Would a motorcycle club be a socialist? There are clubs. They don't like it when you say gangs. Trust me,
Club
they correct me all the time.
Gangs more man.
Would that be considered a socialist?
Don't people get kicked for those though? If they're not performing or living up to the ideals of the club, don't they get ex-clubbed, if you will? I don't know if that.
Well, they might get clubbed literally. Right?
That's what I was.
But is that also? Would that happen in the socialist? The community base is talking about, would that be the same thing, or would we just allow?
No, they got gulags for that.
Would we just allow everybody in?
They just make them a more of a cog in the wheel with just keep them from squeaking.
Gotcha.
Get into the re-education camps in the socialist circles.
Okay.
Well, sort of what I was getting at. I mean, aside from what Primal pointed out, which I think is a good point, true. Is there's plenty of what I would consider to be weak men, irregardless of socialist, Republican, liberal. But it does seem like they lean more towards the Democrat Socialist Party, right? And it seems that women also lean more towards them. And it seems like men who are more akin to women in how they think and act, that would be sort of the weak men. Does that add up?
Well, yeah, if you were weak, you would want the social collective to help provide for you. If you were strong, then you would say, I'm going to provide for myself. That's my very broad brush painting of it.
So if we agree, and I know we didn't quite agree on this, but that most people, I know you said most or a lot, but I'm going to say most people would fall under this, technically. Most are not exceptional, right, by the virtue of what exceptional means. If most are for it, then how could we possibly solve political, social problems with voting? Assuming that everyone voted, because I know there's a big, you need to vote. If you don't vote, you don't get to say anything. As far as I'm concerned, if you do vote in this fucked up system, you don't get to say anything.
I know you were directing that at me. But,
no, I was not. I was directing it at everyone. Everyone that the shoe fits. Look, we voted today. You voted right now. You're on panel here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You vote with your time, money, and attention far more than at the voting booth.
Energy and thoughts and conversation.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I voted that way. Like, what?
You're in the
Well, let me put it like this. When you were on Easy's panel, you were voting for that douchebag.
Oh.
I mean,
You're in the cult, Crispy. You voted. That's when you voted. And your vote's just always whatever base wants. That's why I didn't join the cult.
No, that's not true. That's not, well, actually.
I'm in the cult, though, now.
Yeah, you're in the cult. I'm a free agent.
Yeah.
I'm an independent contractor.
I'm staying where I am. I'm in the cult.
Girl. Go, girl.
Now, why did you choose my cult, Crispy? Can you tell us all?
Well, I think that you're a man for the people. You're trying to make good have us make small decisions in our lives every day to make ourselves a little better each day. So, and I think that that's gonna work. So,
and Biscuits and Groovy, Easy, Speak Easy. There's a lot of reasons. One, he is a clout cocksucker, per se. Right, always gobbling on Andrew Wilson, some of those fruitcakes. Mm-hmm. Two is he's kicked me off his panel for really no reason other than his ego was hurt. And thank you, Don Juan. Appreciate the super chat. What up, y'all? Base chat, crispy. Red Aquinas yet? Probably not. Primal, you benching 235? You benching 235, Primal?
I don't know. It's been so long since I've tried to max out anything. I'll have to give it a go. I'll let you know, Don. I'll throw it up sometime. See what we get.
And Cynthia, what's up with those parties? Yeah, okay. I guess Don was listening about the hooker parties you were hosting.
Don, do you want to go?
Pimp.
Parties.
There's a woman in a cage. Greeks said it. Well.
Wow.
And what up, Toxic Angel? You know, Primal, so you a bit of a gym, I mean, you're a gym bro, right?
Yeah, I'm a gym dude, yeah.
You know what I started doing recently, and it is terrible, right? And the ladies would like this too, in a terrible way.
Yoga.
Well, yeah, but that's not what I meant. But yes, I do yoga. Is doing squats ass to ground. I mean, ass to ground.
That's good stuff, man.
Yeah, I did my first day today. A friend put me onto it, but I think I worked up to like 125. It was yeah. And thank you, Don Juan.
So
you work good solid range of emotion is important for longevity of life, if you will.
Yeah, and the joints and stuff. I thought of it as
you don't want to be the meme dude that's like turning sideways to get through the door. That also has to like try to like, can you scratch my back for me because I can't reach any of it. Like you don't want to be that dude.
Yeah, and that'll never be me, right? I don't have to worry about that.
Careful though, with your back. You better be careful doing.
I'm so careful. I only blow backs out. Hold up. Let me just read this first. Thank you, Don Juan. I-Fi, you read Aquinas yet? You read Aquinas, I-Fi?
We must love them both.
All right, that's a no.
Opinions we share and those whose opinions we reject, for both have labored in the search for truth, and both have helped us in finding it.
That's a yes or a no answer, so I assume that's no. But
and that's kind of the verse I have tattooed downstairs. You know what I mean? Because it's a long.
Yeah, you don't want to do it like on the inner thigh or anything. You probably want to do it on the back or something.
Well, I'm about the usable strength, right? I used to lift for numbers. I did some powerlifting comps. I came in second for bench press, surprisingly. But anyways, I'm all about the overall health and kind of core strength.
It's a good part of living a longer life, man, is balance, right? So,
Ricky on a rant, like, yikes.
I know, Ricky, I'm sorry about the passing of your daddy, GS. You know, it was sad to see his demise, but, you know, look, I know he asked for help. He didn't quite get it.
You can't sit here and say that I've asked you for help for 40 minutes.
I'm doing it right fucking now.
What
can I do? Asking right now.
Are you stupid?
Fucking now.
Are you stupid? I think you're fucking
Holy
stupid.
fucking shit, Rabbit.
Hey, dumbass. What fucking help can I do for you?
Dumbass.
Hey,
now I'm a
what
dumbass.
What help can I do for you right now, dude? I'm sitting here on a fucking panel with you. What help can I do for you, Todd?
Are you that This isn't stupid? Helpful. This isn't helpful.
Keep speaking up for your daddy. I got clips for days.
Why does everyone keep saying he quit YouTube? I don't.
Did he quit?
Right now.
I don't know if he quit. He dead though. He dead to me. And Don Juan with the 199. Ludwig von Mises. Is that the plural of moose? Socialism is a mental disorder.
Word.
Maybe. I don't know. It depends how we define mental disorder. Anyone want to take a stab at that? Is social?
We were just talking about that. The weak men. That's mental disorder. It's socialism.
If you're in a socialism, can you even be an individual, your own unique individual, or would society like subconsciously pressure you to be like, oh, I can't be like this, or this won't feel awkward? I mean, this will feel awkward.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's a mental disorder. It's just, it's not. It sounds like it's It sounds like a good plan, but it does not work. It doesn't work, and it's ridiculous. It's just it's not.
Is Ricky
it doesn't
a
work.
man or a woman?
I don't know.
Because it sounds like a woman.
It sounds like easy.
It doesn't even sound like a good plan. They have to lie about it in order to convince people to sign up for it. So it's
Well, if you're a young,
futile.
if you're young and like idealistic, I mean, I can see where it would sound like a, you know, if we all put together and we can all make this utopia with, you know, I don't know, like if we all work hard, but the problem is that not everybody pulls their own weight.
Because capitalists don't work hard.
It's just I don't know. No, no capitalists do. I think that when you're, I don't know, it's kind of a hip. Uh,
It's hippie bullshit.
hippie.
They have
Yeah,
to
some
lie
hippie-
about what it is in order for
right,
people to sign up for it.
right, some hippy dippy shit.
And hold up, shout out Big Jake. You said the magic word.
I'm not looking for the world to get shoulder to shoulder with me. Just maybe 300. Can I get fucking 300? Can I get 300 fucking Spartans to fucking join me and hold the fucking gap? That's all I'm asking for.
You got the sad music. You really amped that one up.
Lauren, calling your name, girl.
Took 5 minutes. Thank you, Don Juan. To be honest, it's not a clear plan. No pricing. And Bricky, you're here for Easy and the Crucible. That makes sense.
Are you a man or a woman? You speak it like a woman.
Bricky, I have Andrew clips as well if you'd like.
You're fucking.
Which one?
You're fucking the
Which one?
moderator, bro.
That was the wrong one.
He claimed dick.
You're just not a very interesting guy. And that's
Yeah.
not even me trying to be
I'm
personal.
so not interesting that the last 4 times we've spoken, each time has been you reaching out to me through one method or another.
Yeah, well, people.
Yeah. Daddy Andrew. Yeah, I get it. I don't know. How's your 0, Bricky? Bricky, didn't you beg me not to ban you?
I always love the viewer flex, right? Because somebody has more viewers, that clearly means that they're superior in every way, right? The viewer flex is super cringe. It just is.
Well, and Base doesn't give a shit about that. Like he's not at all. I think he like.
I mean, I have booted a
prefer
few.
it being smaller.
Yeah. Base is not here to make friends. He's on a mission.
Yeah, he is.
I'm here to make
Yeah.
based fam, you know?
He doesn't care about that
Unless
at
the
all.
cult. You're safe, Crispy, because you're in the cult. But other than that, everybody
Yep.
can.
Yep.
I mean,
Well, I'm
'cause
not
we've all
safe. I don't
seen
think
people
anybody's
with-
safe. Even if I'm in the cult, I could be thrown out of the cult.
Oh, you can? Yeah. What kind of cult is that?
I know, right?
It's
But
a
I
good
think I
cult.
could be.
Is it? Okay.
It's the right cult. You joined the right cult, Crispy.
Good job, Chris.
With millions of subs that are just pulling stuff out of their butt, like that's nothing new. Like it just is what it is.
Look, I've talked about this. I had a different channel. I've had a few channels, but I had a different one in the past. I put up a video, pulled in 5 mil views. I think I gained around 4,000 subs from the one video. It was a short. It was a 60-second short.